Hello viewers, welcome to Techlon again, and today I'm going to be talking about this car, the Honda Accord 2004-2005, just here, the V6 version. I'm going to talk about some of the problems of this car and some of the solutions you can apply to it. So now let me just start right away. So this is the 2004-2005 model of Honda Accord, and I think this body shape started in 2003 or thereabouts, and actually in Nigeria here we call it EOD, means end of discussion. Yes, so this car is a V6 version of the car. Let me show you right here. You can see V6 there. So that's the back of the car. I think most of you recognize this car. I think many of you must have used this car at one point in your life, or maybe you want to use this car at some point in your life. And you know, this car comes with the 4-cylinder engine and the V6 engine. This one is the V6 version of the car. So when we talk about V6 engine, we're talking about the engine right there. So I have to pop up the hood to show you this engine. So you go right through the driver's door and pop it open. Okay, so I have to touch some stuff. That's the engine there. Now you can see what it looks like. This is the V6 engine. Usually comes with this huge manifold on top with this 3.0. I think that might be the engine capacity, 3.0 liter engine. And this is the radiator, and kind of a reserve water tank. These are the pipes from the radiator, the battery, and other things. The fuse box here, and the inlets with the filter down there. There's a filter into the engine, and some other stuff you need to know. So actually, this car, the most important problem, the reason why I've not used this car for a long time until about 3 years ago, is ball joint problem. Most times when you're along the road, and you see a car whose front wheel, this tire pulled out, and blocking the road, usually Hondas, both the Honda Pilot, the Honda newer versions after this, you see this tire pull out. So, and that's because of the ball joint. There's a ball joint under this brake disc, somewhere behind, that holds this tire. It helps the tire to turn both right and left and right, like that. Sometimes they get to become so weak and they fail and they pull out, maybe during a hard turn or something like that. So that's the first problem of this car, and that's the reason why most people don't buy it. That problem, they used to see it as embarrassing. Then the second thing here, this one is specific to V6 engines like this one here, and that is overheating. Now V6 engine comes with a lot of heat because it has more cylinders than the 4-cylinder engines. So due to the fact that those heat are generated in the engine, there is a lot of cooling is required. So when you look at this radiator, this is where the cooling takes place, where the fans controlled by the relay and thermostat is. Then this fan, the relays try to control the speed of these fans. Let me show you what the fan looks like. I don't know if you can see it properly, but that's a fan there, one, and the second fan right there. So they control the cooling of the entire engine. Then when the heat from the water circulating in the engine passes through, the fan cools it, then it goes into this engine from here, then comes back to the radiator from here. As it descends, it cools and goes back. But the problem with this thing is that sometimes any of these fans can fail, and maybe if your eyes are not on the dashboard where you see the heat gauge, you may not know when it has gone so bad and the engine might be fried, or the top gasket might be damaged before you know it. So it's very important to look at the heat gauge on your dashboard. Okay, that's the second problem of this car: heat. You have to be very mindful of the cooling system of this car, or you might lose the engine. A lot of people end up changing this engine so often in this country because of heat, because here our country is so hot that we can get to 34 degrees centigrade sometimes, almost close to body temperature. So you can tell how high that is. Then, but here I've always had the issue of there's this stuff there that takes in hot water into the dashboard area and back. Sometimes it used to be damaged and be leaking water from there. Sometimes you may not know, be thinking it's a radiator, but it's not. So it might be this stuff here, this stuff here. So you have to be observant to see if that is the problem with your car. And another problem this car can have is the brakes. This car is a V6 engine, so it moves faster than the average 4-cylinder engine. So the braking system needs to be very strong, and that's why here we have the brake disc here with a brake pad, and at the back too you have the same thing, a brake disc and a brake pad. In the 4-cylinder engine cars, they don't come with the brake pad at the back, they come with a cylinder there, so those are the 3 so far. And another problem is, as they get older, like this one is old since 2005. You can tell that it's an old car. So the pipes that lead to the steering pump, there's a lot of pipes through the steering pump that circulate around. Many of them tend to burst and get weak and damaged, and so you may have to look at those things and change them, or else when you remove your car, you see a lot of oil under the engine. So you need to check those things. When you see anyone that is weak, you call your technician to change it, so that you don't lose the oils that might make you stranded on the road one day. So I think these are 4 things I've mentioned so far about this car. But one good thing I like about the car is that the parts are readily available. The technicians, many of them understand the car, so it's easier to fix. And most times I do the fixing myself. especially when it does have to do with bringing down the engine. There was some other thing I need to bring your attention to in this car is the engine seating. The engine seating of this car is very important because this car's engine is huge and put a lot of pressure on the engine seaters. This is the side engine seater and this is the middle engine seater there. This is the middle engine seater and that's the back engine seater there. So these engine seaters, sometimes they get bad, damaged and all that. Then there are other engine seaters that carry the transmission. The transmission is on this side. You can see the transmission stick here. So there are engine seaters there also that are very important. So you need to be very mindful of these things, because if these engine seaters are bad, it makes the car to have unnecessary vibrations that might be very terrible and very noticeable. So that's about so much about this car. 2005 version of this car. And if there's any other thing you want to know about it, you can let me know on the comment section so that I can tell you more about it. Okay, thank you for hanging around.